shit at the pilot.
He stepped up his head.
Niggas be broken, be sober, but still talking shit like
And he
they
fumbles the football at the
They say
end
that
of
they got it, time money, these niggas gon' say that they got it.
Oh my God.
Get out with the key to success and these niggas gon' blame it on talent. They don't wanna see you win. They don't wanna see the race. You don't wanna see a bitch caught up in the stars like she out of space. Mention that they kinda at the mention and I'm running out of space.
Episode 12 of the City of Brotherly Love Sportscast. Finally back in person since episode 2, I think was the last time. Remember, we're your co-hosts, Dylan and Blake, as usual. Don't forget to send them subscriptions, them likes on Facebook, YouTube, Apple, anything. We're on everything. Spotify finally is fully up, so run that shit up. Fucking, you guys are supporting like crazy, and we love it, even though it's minimal, but it's something. Just throw a shout out there. Shout out Heart of Philly. He's got a fucking bomb-ass shirt coming out. It's going to be all 4 teams. I don't know. He didn't even really post that shit yet, but that shit's going to be fire. So shout out Heart of Philly, Shane Gray. Hit him up. He'll do some work for you if you really want it. So we'll get straight into it, dude. Sad, but Wentz was officially traded to the Indianapolis Colts for a 3rd rounder in 2021, and then a conditional 2nd round pick for 2022, which will most likely turn to a first because I think he'll play at least 70% and they'll make the playoffs. So
yeah,
that'll be a first round.
If not,
pick.
It's 75%, so it's like another game.
Yeah, and even that it's gonna be a late first round pick, so it's not even gonna be that crazy. But I mean, basically, like, what I guess. So, what are your thoughts on the trade? Did we win or lose the trade, and then where do we go on from here?
I don't think we won because it's Howie.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you gotta look at it like that. Obviously, we're the biggest Wentz fans. Everybody knows it here. So I'm not gonna sit here and confess my love like I do once a week on here for him. It's over with. He's out of here. It sucks. I'm actually sad about it. So there's other people who aren't. There's other people who are just happy he's gone. It was something that needed to be done. It seems like a ton of information coming out. So I mean, overall, it sucks, but, you get a 3rd this year. I mean, that helps, but the 2nd, arguably conditionally 1st next year, I mean, it's going to be even if it turns into a 1st, it's going to be a late 1st anyway, which a 1st is better than nothing, but Howie doesn't hit on picks, so there's nothing for me to be hype about. I mean, maybe if he redeems himself with a nice draft this year, I'll be a little more hype, but I doubt it, dude. I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
And you take on the dead cap hit, and salary is supposed to decrease technically because of the year with COVID and everything. So we're taking on the biggest dead cap hit in history of the NFL. So I mean, it's ridiculous. The contract design was arguably pretty crappy. So
yeah, to me, it sucks that we even got to this point.
Yeah.
Even because we were supposed to have that franchise guy.
Yeah. That
guy that was supposed to change everything for the team and was going to succeed for probably fucking everybody wanted 10, 12 years. You know what I mean? So my biggest thing with him is, like you mentioned, the cap. It's supposed to go down, and we're taking on the biggest cap in NFL history. Dude, I guess right now they're doing their due diligence to try and fix the situation because they already cut D-Jax. They're about to cut Alshon at the beginning of the new year, and then Malik's most likely going to be gone.
Ertz is going to be gone probably.
Yeah, so they're creating space. Basically, they're going to end up being in the same spot that they were without Wentz. It's going to end up evening out where they're not going to be able to make a big splash, but they're going to make a few moves that could potentially, if Jalen Hurts pans out, could end up being good. But for me, where do you go now? So Jalen Hurts is now officially the QB1. Am I happy about it? No, fuck no, because I don't think he's going to succeed. That play style doesn't succeed in the NFL. It's very rare that it does, and nobody with that play style has ever won a Super Bowl.
So I try to tell people. I've been telling people. So I'll get to my take later about this dude. But me and this dude were talking from work, and he's like, "Well, I liked Hurts in college," and I'm like, "Okay, I didn't." And I'm a Bama fan. I'm not saying I watch every game weekly, but I watch games. I did not like him. Didn't even play. He had one good performance. It was after he got benched the year they won. And then he came back, and Tua got hurt, and he stepped up, got them to the championship. I think that was against Georgia again. And where he came back in the playoffs against Georgia. And that was impressive. He has a good story. He has good leadership qualities. He's a good runner. He clearly knows how to get out of a lot of sacks and shit, so I'll give him that. His arm, though, I see people like saying his arm strength's good. His arm strength's not good, dude. He's a rookie. His accuracy's not good, but dude at work was just trying to tell me I'm like, how can you be happy with this going forward? Like, I'm not saying him overall, but just our situation, and there's no confidence from me in him. And I said to him, when has his play style ever won in the NFL except Russell Wilson? He said, you had to go there and say that one. I'm like, yeah, because you only have one option, and that
he's even changed his play style.
And that, not even that, and that one option is Russell Wilson, and he played with one of the greatest defenses ever. Mm-hmm. And if you look at that Super Bowl and that run, he played good. He was more of a game manager. Not that I'm saying he literally was, but it seemed like he was more of a game manager than he was, doing what like a Rodgers would do, or even sometimes what a Brady would do, or he didn't do anything special. Like, he wasn't winning it with his legs, and he wasn't winning it with his arms. And then he said, well, what about Steve Young? Well, I know for a fact Steve Young was a rusher, but he was a passer first. Anybody will tell you that. It's my dad's favorite quarterback, so I know a lot about Steve Young. Just watched highlights. My pops always used to tell me about him, and he's a way different scenario. So you try to give me those two scenarios, and you really can't even use them as proof. Like, when has a Lamar ever won? When has a Vic ever won? Mm-hmm. Vic got to that NFC Championship, but who did he lose if he lost to us?
Exactly.
And then Kaepernick, he went to the Super Bowl, but their defense was crazy too. Yeah. He did play good though, but nobody had the tape on him like that yet. Mm-hmm. And then look at him, he's out of the league, dude. And so you got Kyler. I feel like he's a good thrower, but he's undersized. Mm-hmm. He still makes a lot of mistakes. He definitely jumped up. I like Kyler too, but I don't think he'll ever win either.
No. And they're not really. I mean, yeah, they got a D-Hop, but they're not doing much to fucking make their defense any better. So
no, not at all.
It's a full asset game. You're not going to win with a shitty defense, even if you're a top-notch team. But so say Jalen Hurts does pan out, and he does end up being this dude that he's not going to be a superstar, but ends up being that guy that can get you a playoff win or make it interesting, and you end up having a solid defense or something that can carry him. Mm. I still don't think they're going to succeed as long as Howie's in the front office.
No.
So as long as Howie's there, making franchise decisions, making draft picks, there's no shot that this team can ever succeed past that. And the fact that Lurie can come out and say that he'll always have a job is actually, I think that's the scariest thing out of all this. Even it's more scarier than having Hurts at QB or wasting away people's careers.
Yeah, bro.
But I mean, that's what we're playing into. And
I think. I don't even think, like, when we go on the record, because the NFC East isn't that good. Yeah. I mean, we're Washington. If they had a QB, I think Washington would be scary. I mean, I still think their offense is basic, but I think they'd be scary. They have a good defense. Mm-hmm. I mean, Dallas, if they get Dak back, they're probably division favorites. I think they're really good. They'll probably draft defense this year.
They're going for
They added Dan Quinn. I see people licking their chops saying Dan Quinn's not that good. I mean, he was out there when the Legion of Boom was a Legion of Boom. Mm-hmm. He's a good defensive-minded coach. So I think Dallas is going to bounce back this year. A lot of people probably won't like me saying that, but and the Giants, they played hard. They were good.
And we played without Barkley.
Mm-hmm. And Barkley wasn't even good at first either. So, I mean, God forbid our division's up for grabs no matter what. So if Jalen Hurts is even a tad better than Carson, there's a shot you're possibly winning the division. But he could have a good year. He could throw for 30-plus touchdowns and 7 interceptions, 10 interceptions, rush for a couple hundred, whatever he's going to do. But 1 year is not enough for me to say, hey, that's the guy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Look at Lamar. Like, people are like, yeah, well, Lamar's there. And Lamar technically is a franchise QB, but how many guys would you take over Lamar in the league?
A lot.
Me and you. I mean, me and you specifically. He's not even top 7.
He's the worst arm in the league.
I remember it was all Mike's boys. Mm-hmm. So I was arguing with, like, Vince, Alex, Kev, and they all said this summer before the season started, they said Lamar's top 7. And we were also talking about Wentz before his fall off this year, and we said Wentz is top 7. And I said, I agree. I was like, and we're trying to name the guys. I was like, you can't put Lamar in there. Like, we were naming everybody who's better than Wentz, and they said Lamar. And I said, dude, yeah, he had an MVP season last year, but I said that was really like, I mean, his first year he was all right. He got the playoffs, crumbled. Mm-hmm. Got the playoffs that year, crumbled. He got the playoffs this year. What do you do? He crumbled again. He won a playoff game. Who did he finally get by? The Titans in playoffs?
This year? This year's the Titans. They lost last year.
After they owned him every year anyway. So, I mean, he just gets exposed every year. He doesn't play good in the playoffs. His play style, even throughout the whole year, wasn't good. It just doesn't last you. So, in my opinion, he does a lot of good things, but this is what I say about these types of QBs, and I keep saying to people, I have people saying Hurts isn't even that much of a runner. Look at his college stats, bro.
Yeah, he's a run-first quarterback.
He was a run-first QB. He might have a nice arm, or it looks like he can throw the ball nice, but that still doesn't mean he's not a run-first.
Look at who he was throwing to in college.
I guarantee you he's going to have at least 500 to 700 yards each year rushing. Yeah. So that's a lot. That's a lot. So and I'd like to see him not, like I said to you and you said it too. He's sitting there checking out of it after his first read or first option wasn't there. He's checking out and running, and that's fine to do. Maybe if your second one's not there, but if you have the time, like there was that video I shared, and I really don't hate where it hurts, and I really don't think he's actually poop. I think he's talented. Just so we get that clear, but like I said, I just don't like him. I don't like him. Yeah. Simple as that. Like I'm not like I said. You had people. I said it last week on the pod. People are comparing him, saying he's the next Russ. Like
no, he's not.
Like pipe down. Like what makes you believe he's the guy going forward? You know what I mean? Like there's no belief there for me. He had one pretty good game last year, and that was the Saints game.
He went 1-3,
and he had a really good half against the Cardinals, but was completely shit in that second half against the Cardinals. Yeah. The numbers will say otherwise, but if you look at the second half numbers, he was trash, and we could have probably won that game if he was anything like he was in the first half.
Absolutely, and like I have no doubt about it. He's working on, like, he's going to try and be that QB1. Like, he's a hard worker, and he's committed, and he's definitely going to try and be better because he knows that there is flaws in his game. Obviously, those last 3 games this season proved it. Yeah. Once people had a little, even if it was just a little bit of tape on him. Now they have 4 games of tape on him. They're going to look at everything. I'm just back to the whole Howie thing because me or you could hit big on this draft with the 6th pick.
It's hard to mess it up, dude.
So, Howie's going to end up hitting big, and then he's going to get praised again for being this fucking top-of-the-line GM, for hitting on some fucking pick, and then he's going to be here again. And we're not going to get rid of him. He's going to end up staying because he's going to hit on this pick. And that's what, like I'm saying, though, we could hit on it. Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't want people to, I want people to realize that he fucking sucks. And I think everybody in Philly,
he's not even necessarily going to hit on this pick because if he takes a Kyle Pitts, I mean, some people in Philly might be hyped, but I feel like there's people talking themselves into it. But
I hate that just because he's from Philly. I hate that.
He is good, too. I don't like him on our team, though. I like him anywhere else in the league except probably our division and our team. That's it.
I agree. I think 1,000% he's going to be a solid player. But we're the 6th pick, and there's at least 6 other people that I would pick over him.
Parsons, Surtain,
more needed players. You have a young Dallas Goedert. And I understand he's a high-end tight end.
And people aren't sold on Dallas, but I am. I'm sold on. They don't use him enough. No, Hurts didn't even use him enough.
Now that he's number 1, if you bring in like a Richard Rodgers, just keep him as your tight end too. You're fine at the tight end.
And Dallas, I'm not saying it because, George Kittle's a great blocking tight end, but Dallas is used primarily in blocking a lot of the time. He's not used out in the field. And maybe we'll see that this year. Maybe he isn't as good as I think he is, but I think he's good. I think he has potential to be top 5 tight end in the league. But this is my latest point for the draft. Me and you talk about it. I know you say you really don't want it. I only want it because if it's my guy, and I told people this, even when the Wentz rumors kicked out, I said, if this is going to be a big thing, I said, it looks like he's going to be out. I was on that wave for a while until the Sirianni hiring, and then I thought, well, he's going to stay. But I was wrong. I would want Zach Wilson. Mm-hmm. And this is what I'm trying to tell people. People are like, why would we draft another QB if we got to see where Hurts is? Well, maybe they're not sold on Hurts. Yeah. And, if you believe your guy's there, why wouldn't you take him? You know what I mean? People are like, they're making it sound like absurd to take a QB. Like, if you believe your guy's there, who's going to be here for the next 10 to 15 years, why wouldn't you take him? You know what I mean? Like, if we don't like him, I don't love him at all by any means. I like him more than Hurts. I think he's more athletic. I think he has the same leadership qualities. I think he has a way better arm. I would take a Fields over a Hurts. I wouldn't want to draft him. I don't, believe me. If they did, I think I could talk myself into liking the pick, probably. But the only QB I want Zach Wilson, unless Trevor Lawrence somehow.
Unless he somehow fell.
Yeah, unless we got him or somehow he was at 2 and we drafted off.
The Jags wanted to fucking do some stupid shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the only way. I'm not saying I want a QB definitely, but if Zach Wilson is there, that's probably who I'm going to be balls at a wall for at 6. If he falls at 6, which I doubt, I think if he falls past 2, I think he will be there, actually, because I don't think
maybe
a lot of people think Atlanta, but I think Matt Ryan's there another 4 years at least, and I think with Arthur Smith, I think Arthur Smith's going to turn Matt Ryan around, so that's what I'm feeling. So I think Zach Wilson could really be there. And I think Darnold might stay in New York, or if he doesn't, they could always take Fields over Wilson. So who knows?
Yeah, it's a process. I mean, I think one of them will be there at 6. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a decision that they're going to have to make. I mean, unless there's other teams that need quarterbacks, so anybody could end up trading up. But that's what makes draft day the best. Which I think the draft's April 11th to the 13th. So
and Shefty was on today saying we're looking at a QB no matter what. Mm-hmm. Like you're not going to have Sudfeld. Maybe it's a Mariota.
Yeah,
I think I heard like Belichick might be in on Mariota, which would be shocking, but hey, maybe him and Josh McDaniels, he has a better arm than Cam, better accuracy. I'm not saying he is better than Cam, but he could probably fit well over there. Yeah. So I would like to see that, but even if they traded Hurts, God forbid, because they think there's some value there, and they signed a Mariota and filled him in for 1 year, and then they suck this year, but maybe
go for a QB next year.
And maybe Sam Howell. People are like, I don't know what QBs are coming out next year. People say that every year, and then the QBs start
6 QBs top out. So. Like Trey Lance from North Dakota State, same thing. Went same situation. Now he came out of nowhere.
Please stay away from him. And if they draft him, that might be my done button. That might be my done button. If they draft another North Dakota State University, not that I love ones, but
they must have a fucking recruiter that stays there.
Yeah.
So moving on from that, like I said, the draft is April 11th to the 13th. So once draft night happens, at least draft night 1, we're going to have a lot of fucking talk about, because then we'll be able to more see where they're going with their process.
And March is coming up, so, we do episodes weekly. We'll probably do it the week before, but people have been asking us, have you done mock drafts yet? I think it's a little too early to do mocks, especially because, if we're on here, we're not going to be doing mocks weekly.
Yeah. Maybe
that whole episode, depending on what's going on around Philly sports, we'll just dedicate maybe one entire, unless something crazy happens, we'll dedicate one entire episode to or half of it, we'll do 3 or 4 mocks for maybe the top 15 picks or something.
Yeah, not like a full 3 rounds.
We'll do the first 10 because we're at least in 10. Yeah. So, and we'll see, but we can bounce right on to whatever. We're gonna talk Sixers.
Definitely talk a little Sixers. So after they're terrible, we talked about last week, their 3-game losing skid.
Yep.
We asked, you sent that question out, was people nervous about losing those 3 games on the West Coast? They were able to bounce back right after that.
They were.
Knocked the Rockets, knocked the Bulls, and then folded against the Raptors in Game 1. We
had no Ben, right?
No Ben. No.
Yeah, because Shane actually bet Ben first basket when we were up the mountains. He was like, I was like, Shane, he's not playing. And he was like, oh, shit.
So then, but then they were able to bounce back last night. Mm-hmm. And it was actually, side note, it was the first time they beat the Raptors on the road in the last 17 game tries.
And that's is it the last 30 games? They were 25-30 against us or something?
Something like that.
It's something crazy. Yeah. Maybe that has to be regular season, unless they're counting the 3 playoff wins.
We didn't beat them in the road in the playoffs either, so.
No, we didn't.
Mm-hmm. All of our losses
We dropped one at home.
Yep. Yeah. But so, that was huge. They were able to bounce back. But Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons are officially all-stars. Tobias Harris was snubbed, even though he's averaging 20 points and 7 rebounds. I'm not really going to get upset because we have guys like Booker that are getting fucking snubbed out of the West Coast. Yeah. But there's not anybody really in the East that I could really remove.
That's what I was saying.
The only people I would remove is probably Ben or Vukovic. They're really the only ones that I would even think about, and Vukovic puts up crazy numbers every year.
Yeah. So. I mean, it sucks. You want to see a guy like that get in. This is why I think fan voting kind of sucks. They just need to do away with the fan voting system. Maybe implement whether the players do it and former players do it, and maybe they have like a third party option. Maybe not fans, but someone else. Because this year, I feel like I do agree with most of the votes. There's a few snubs like Deep Book. I feel like you can make a case for DeMar out in the West. I know the West is star loaded, but I feel like you can make a case. I know he's averaging right under 20. He's like 19.7. Mm-hmm. But the Spurs are actually they're like 18 and 11 or something. Yeah. DeMar's probably a huge reason in that. So I know they play good team ball, but I feel like you could make a case for him. And it sucks to see my guy Toby get snubbed. Maybe it will just piss him off even more. Maybe he'll just start dropping 30 on a nightly basis, or 25 at least.
Which would be fucking
sick. So I don't really care about the All-Star game, and I really don't care about any individual awards. Of course, I want to see. We'll get into it. EMBIID for MVP. Mm-hmm. I'd love to see Ben win Defensive Player of the Year, but I think mostly, I don't really care about it. I want to be on broad. So.
Yeah, Ben came out today and said he doesn't care about any personal accolades besides defensive player.
He thinks he deserves it, and which I think he does.
They have him ranked as number 2 right now.
And who the fuck's over him? Fucking poop-ass Rudy Gobert. He's so overrated. He's not even that good defensively. He's so overrated. He gets cooked.
Just because he's 7 foot.
He plays physical, too. He gets cooked, dude. I watch Embiid. Every time I feel like we play against him, Embiid gets him fouled out. He's a bum. Mm-hmm. I'm sick of him.
So there's 4 games left before the All-Star break, but they're still sitting in. They're leading the first seed as dwindled. So they have a half-game lead now over the Nets, but come to find out, this second half came out today, the schedule, and we have the 5th easiest schedule in the NBA for the second half of the season. We end the season, our last 6 games are against the Magic, 2 games against the Magic, 2 games against the Pistons, a game against the Cavs, and then a game against the Heat, I think. So we end the season really nicely. I like how it is, but we have this beginning of the second half, we had the Lakers and the Clippers and Jazz and stuff like that all over again. But they're home this time. And for some reason, even without fans, we play 10 times better at home.
I mean, the Bucks have fell off, but the Nets are cooking.
I
think they're only a 6-game win streak. Yeah, they swept the entire West Coast trip without KD. Yeah. They won 5 straight now, maybe 6
Which
straight.
I don't know if that shows me, are they better with only 2 superstars instead of all 3?
Honestly, I don't think so, because I think players are stepping up, and it probably helps, because they're getting more of the ball. Mm-hmm. I agree to a degree, but I think Kyrie's accepted his role. He said, "I'm the shooting guard." James Harden's accepted his role. He still averages 20, and he's dishing 10 plus assists a game. I actually like seeing. I think he's one of my favorite players. So I love seeing him in the role he's in now. I feel like I'm actually getting to see a better James Harden, even though he's not averaging 30. Yeah, it's fun to watch. And KD, I mean, he played somewhere before where they all shared the ball, so I don't think it's really affecting him. I think it's going to help them with the way they're playing right now because he's good defensively, and when you add a guy like him, it's just more space on the floor. Yeah, and you already have a shit ton of space as it is, and Joe Harris and him, and I don't even know who the dude Bruce Brown is going off, that idiot.
Dropping 25 points.
I saw Squally. I was like, dude, who the hell is? Because he knows everybody. I was like, who the hell is this dude? He was like, this is just some bum. He has the luxury of playing with 3 future Hall of Famers. I was like,
literally,
probably right,
legit. So I mean, so when you speak about all 3 of those guys, all past or possibly future MVPs in the league, we have right now, the ranked number 1 MVP candidate, Joel Embiid, which is I think our biggest topic to talk about for today.
Is he officially number 1?
They officially put him above LeBron.
As he should fucking be.
And that's why the arguments have been coming out the past few days. So, I understand this dude has missed 5 to 6... he missed 6 games now.
It is what it is.
It means nothing to me because you can see when he's on the floor, he's the most dominant player in the NBA. And when he's off the floor, he's the most missed player in the NBA. Yeah. It's proven, dude. They go... When either him or Ben are not on the floor, we are fucking terrible.
Yeah. The crazy part is, so there's games where they look good with Ben without Embiid, and they still lose, or sometimes they're getting blown out. Mm-hmm. They had the one comeback against Indy, which was nice, all sparked by Ben. And then even the Toronto game the other night, they were definitely missing Ben, but it's also because they miss a second ball handler. I'm not saying they don't miss Ben defensively, because they do completely when there's nights, but if they had a better ball handler or point guard, I think they'd be able to win games.
Yeah.
It wouldn't get them far in playoffs or anything, but the regular season they would win games. Ben would get a rest, whatever, so be it. Embiid gets a rest, and they have another guy who can play off ball with Ben. I think they would still win games too.
Yeah,
they just don't have a secondary guy like that, and you can see it hurts them. That's why people keep asking me, like, how you afford it, or they keep talking about it every day. You have owners willing to pay money. It doesn't matter if you go over the cap, especially if you think you can win this year. Give me Kyle Lowry. That's who I want right now.
They just said, who knows? He could be getting ready.
That's why I think he's been sitting out, bro. I don't think his thumb injury I don't think it's anything. I think it's just a bullshit made up injury for him to sit out, and they're shopping. Like I said, apparently his house was listed. I think that was 2 episodes ago now, or last episode. I think he's ready to be out, and I think Philly would be a great spot for him. He loves Philly. He's a Philly through and through guy. Loves Nova. I was listening to one guy. He's one of the big Sixer guys on the morning show for 97.5 Bob. He was saying, he said Kyle's like loves Philly. He said like even after they would come back and they would win, he would sit there and he would chop it up with fans, but he would talk a lot of shit. So he loves the fans here. He loves he knows he gets on their nerves, but he knows damn well if he was here, I'm one of them. I would love him. I'd probably buy a jersey.
I think it'd be great. Yeah, I think it'd be great for the team all around, and then you'd be able to do more with Ben.
And I think you're gonna have I don't know when the period happens exactly, but I didn't look into it enough. You have the veteran buyout period coming out.
Okay.
And
which what they're doing.
And we're finally in an attractive spot, but people are like, well, what about the Nets? That's where you sign guys cheap to vet deals. They're like, what about the Lakers? What about the Clippers? Well, I personally think we're a top destination. Maybe the Lakers are one.
Yeah.
Just because they won and they're, LeBron, AD. The Clippers, they're a nice destination, but I think we're better than them. And then the Nets obviously for this year and next year is definitely, it makes sense for a team to choose them over us, because you go and you're looking at who you're playing with.
You're going to win.
Over the 2 stars, 3 guys we got. Like, we do have a big 3, but we don't have a big 3 on those terms and those levels. So, I mean,
it's a difference,
It sucks. It's we'll see though. Like Blake Griffin, he's on his way out. Yeah. They're talking about buying him out, and we could use a backup 4. Yeah. And I mean, Blake coming off the bench, would he want him? Sure not. I'm sure they could figure it out. Start on 5. Yeah. Whether it's Toby playing small and him playing power, but even if not, I'm sure he'll be playing 20 minutes a night easy. 25.
One of those players is getting to the point where he wants to win.
And he's dogging it. Like me and my one boy were talking about it today. He was like, his numbers are shit this year. I'm like, he don't want to be in Detroit right now. He's just trying to do anything he can to get the hell out of there.
Absolutely.
So that's
same thing with Drummond.
It's an ideal situation. It's my ideal situation would be Kyle and him. It's not going to happen, but if I get at least Lowry and we get the dude, what's his name? He's the one that turned us down when he went to Sacramento. He sent it to me. The backup 4. Is it like Bajelica or something?
Yeah.
I forget. I don't even know if I just said that right. I don't even know if it begins with a B.
I know what you're talking about.
But we draft him or sign him or something, and he went back overseas. I don't even really want him because of that, but I'll take him. So, I mean, that's ideal. A 4 and another 1.
A move has to happen.
And then you can play Kyle with Ben in playoffs in key moments. And Kyle Lowry's a straight dog. He's good defensively. I know he's small. He takes a lot of smart charges. He's, when he's cold, but I feel like that's any player in the league, but he hits a lot of tough shots, too. Mm-hmm. There's games where he'll knock down like 8 threes. Yeah. And you're like, wow, this dude's cooking. So
I think in Toronto, Fred VanVleet's slowly taking over that.
Which is fine. Because he's younger anyway, so it makes sense. Taking over they're about to hit rebuild mode.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I heard like something about Siakam possibly being out, which is crazy.
Because
if you're rebuilding, you would want to keep him. So, I mean...
That's interesting, but moves need to be made, and I think personally the West Coast trip proved that. Yeah. And I think if they don't, I'm strong about them because we are the 1 seed. I'm strong about them playing well, but I'm not confident that they can make the finals with the team that they currently have. Not on the main star players because they're role players.
Yeah. All right, let me pull up these stats for the MVP argument for anybody who might be a Sixers fan or not a Sixers fan and listens, and they like to say LeBron deserves it over Embiid. So here's one stat. This might be the most insane stat ever, and I know it eventually will drop off as Joe continues to play later in his career because he's going to average less points. Yeah. Minimum 200 career games, career points per 36 minutes. Guess who's number 1 all time? Joel Embiid. Guess who's number 2? Mike.
Oh, wow.
Guess who's number 3? I don't know. George Gervin. KD's number 4 and James Harden's number 5. I don't see LeBron on that list. I don't even see Kobe on that list.
No.
Which is crazy because I would at least think Kobe would be on that list. So that shows 1. And then let's go to LeBron versus Embiid for everything this game because people want to talk about time missed. Time missed, I don't even feel like matters at the end of the day because, like you said, you see the impact when he's a big too. Like people talk about like these young guys playing nowadays and this and that. Bigs, their bodies, they get. You see it with every big. No big plays. Maybe Giannis, but he's like a Ben, like has that Ben Braun type build. He's not like a lanky center. So points, Embiid. Rebounds, Embiid. Field goal percentage, Embiid. Free throw percentage, Embiid. 3-point percentage, Embiid. Steals, Embiid. Blocks, Embiid. Offensive rating, Embiid. Defensive rating, Embiid. Per, which is what they love to go off. Yeah, it's like the war. It's like the war for baseball. Yeah. Embiid, win shares per 48. Embiid, age, LeBron. Because I guess they're like older, like.
So we want to show what he's doing at an older age.
Like nobody gives a shit, dude.
I think they're all. If you're going to an MVP race, you're at the same fucking spot. I don't care what your age is. It needs to be compared exactly the same.
Yeah.
Dude, and it's showing. LeBron is literally falling off. They have him as number 2 in the rankings, but he's falling off. He's shooting in the past 10 games, 15% from 3-point range. Literally shooting.
I don't know if he's just in a cold streak because it's LeBron James and he's a freak. I think like come playoff time will turn it up.
No, I think that's
usually what he does. He keeps his body like I feel like we have this not me and you, but people have this discussion once a year. Like, is this the year LeBron's falling off? Is this the year Tom Brady's falling off? And then you see them turn it up like mid to end season, get the playoffs, and
I forget what I was watching today. I was watching I think it was First Things First, but no, it was Skip and Shannon Undisputed, but Skip and Shannon weren't on it. They had people replacing them, and Chris Broussard was on there and stuff. And they were talking about how if there was any team in the NBA that doesn't need the 1 or 2 seed, it's going to be the Lakers. He said, even with AD out, teams like the Lakers, teams like the Nets, they're going to take like a 10-15 game break throughout the season where they just don't care what happens because even if they're the 4 or 5 seed, they're fine. You know what I mean? So, and now Lakers are getting to the point where they're in their last, I think, 10 games, they're like, I think they're 3-6 or something, or 3-7, something like that in their last 10 games, and they're doing that point right now because they don't have AD. But LeBron could win some of these games by himself, honestly.
He has, but not lately now. And I think they play the Jazz tonight.
They do. They have the next 3 head TV games. So they play on ESPN, TNT, and ESPN.
Shocker there, the Lake Show. But if you have anything else to touch up on that, I mean, everybody's playing great. Ben's playing great. Joe's playing great. He didn't play great last night. I mean, he stepped it up a little bit, like hitting some important free throws down the stretch and hit a nice 3 which was a huge 3, honestly. It turned out to be, I was like, no fucking way. But he wasn't the reason we won last night. Guys like Ben, Toby, Cork was definitely probably so. Shake played good.
Fucking animal.
Thibault played good. Thibault's unreal. There's another stat I actually got. This dude.
That defensive stat's crazy.
Where he's played half the minutes and he's in there for blocks and steals, 40, and he's top 4.
40 steals and 20 blocks. Yeah, he's top 4. And
he's top 4 with half the minutes played. That is fucking insane.
I think it's him, Ben, Cove, and
so that was actually, I'm glad I snuck that in there. That's the last thing I really wanted to say. So
that's all I have.
They struggled a little bit, and we didn't really say it. I do think that trip was a little concerning, but Morey's going to add pieces. His team's going to be deeper. We were missing Shake. I think did Embiid not play one night, or Ben might not have played one of the games. I don't know how it worked. I don't think the starting 5 really played throughout the whole West Coast trip together. I forget. So I think we'll be fine, dude. We're going to be fine. I wasn't saying, concerning, panic button, but you're playing contending teams, whether it's in your conference or not, and you want to see them play good ball, and you want to see them stick with the best. So
absolutely.
That's really why I posted it. And I said I did vote yes because it is a little concerned, but I wasn't I'm panicking. I'm not panicking.
No, yeah, I get that. So then moving on from that, another team that's struggling for sure is the Flyers. biggest reason they're struggling is because they're COVID injuries. They're without Claude, they're without TK, Voracek, Lawton, Lindblom. They've all missed the last fucking 2 games plus the 11 games that.
I don't know. I think he was the first one back.
Everybody missed.
They're missing Zane Hahn.
Claude is back on this.
He's back tonight, which is huge because we play the Rangers and people hate on my guy so much. It's crazy. He's great this year. You don't watch the little things, and that hurts me. My fantasy hockey team actually sucks this year for once, but I have Panarin, and he's taking a personal leave in absence, so that's huge because Zibanejad's supposed to be their next best player, and I have him in fantasy too. I took him as like a duo, and he's been fucking cheeks. He was a beast last year. He's one of the best second half of the year players last year, and he's out. So this is a huge game tonight. They dropped the last 2. The first Rangers game went to OT. They did play good at first, but then they took a lot of dumb penalties, and I think it threw the rhythm off. Like they were finally looking like they were either going to outshoot an opponent or play a complete game. Yeah. And it didn't turn out that way. And the shootout was god-awful. I don't know what Hart was doing. I mean, Panarin is sick in shootouts.
Unbelievable.
Kakko scored.
I thought he was going to take every fucking...
Who else scored? Kakko did score, actually. Kakko did, and he's a 6 shooter. I mean, he hasn't really stepped up. He was the 2nd overall pick last year. He hasn't been anything but he's a 6 shot, and he scored.
Panarin has I think he's like a 65%
career what we say now, he's 15 for 26. Yeah. He's dirty. He's filthy. But I think Hart backed himself up into the net too much, and I think he gave them the advantage in those shootouts. And I think he's usually good in shootouts, but this year he's been awful. And the Boston game, I kind of knew it was going to be a bad game, but they hung around for a while, and it was funny. I was like watching on my phone periodically, keeping updated while I was up the mountains, had my jersey on, was hype, turn it on. Was it the 3rd period when it started or 2nd? I think it was 3rd. And they get into the 3rd, and we were either losing or tied, and next thing you know, we're down like 4 goals. And I was like,
yeah, we were texting each other, and we were just like, "Oh, it's a good ass game." They're actually playing. They outshot them in the first period, and it was 2-2 after the first.
I think,
and then 3-3.
You know what I noticed? Something I think besides the first 2 games of the year, and I have to look at it because I think he might have missed. And besides that, but our team wasn't fully healthy. We're missing our captain, which is a top 3 player on our team. We're missing Jake Voracek. He's a top 3 player on our team. Well, they're top 3 forwards. You're missing Coots. And Coots played in the you've seen his presence. I mean, he had a goal and an assist right away in the first 2 periods of the outdoor game. But Coots didn't play, I think, like 3 of the 5 games against the Bruins this year. So imagine what the matchup's going to look like if we get our shit together. This break could have honestly helped. If they win tonight, you'll probably have more guys back for the next game. Hopefully they win tonight. I'm just happy the captain's back, and I'm happy Panarin's out. And I see a lot of people pressing the panic button on Hart.
Hey, let me read this stat to you when you're saying Hart. So it's a panic button on Hart only against the Bruins. So Hart has allowed 20 goals this year against the Bruins, and he's 0-2-2 against them.
He's 0-2. I have a rating.
Against anybody else, he's 5-1-1, and he's only allowed 18 goals.
Yep.
But he's allowed 20 goals to the Bruins. So he's fine against anybody but the Bruins. So as long as we don't get the Bruins, we're sitting fine.
Yeah, and I think maybe the next time, maybe it's like a mental thing. Maybe he needs like 1 break against the Bruins, or maybe a break for 2-2 against them. Yeah. And you just let Elliott play both games. Maybe you just got to look at the stats, and you got to put, like AV said it this year, you're trying to push all the right buttons to win a cup. I don't know if we're going to win a cup this year. This team gets it together 100%. They can.
My biggest thing with him is we played the Bruins 5 times. 3 of those times that he's played them, he's allowed 6 plus goals.
It can't happen.
6 plus goals.
And they're scoring in those games against Rask, which they don't have a ton of success against, and they're doing it finally. So, I mean, it sucks. You got to push the right buttons. I'm not panicking on Hart. I see a lot of people panicking on Hart. Nah, the kid's a stud. He's poised. It's just those Bruins games this year. They have his number. That's it. Simple as that. Everybody's playing good, though. We can't wait to get our forwards back. And hopefully I've been telling a lot of people I see every night, people are like, outshot again, this and that again. Well, did we win? Honestly. You know what I mean? It's not always about the quality. It's not always about the quantity of shots. It's all about the quality. Yeah. And a team can throw 30 shots on net. The Flyers did it last year. They averaged the most shots on net per game last year. And their offense was good, but it doesn't always mean you're getting good scoring opportunities. And this year, even if they don't have a lot of shots, they're still getting a lot of good scoring opportunities. If they can figure out how to break out of the zone better,
The more shots will come.
And I think I sent it to a few of my hockey guys. Matthias Ekholm's available. He's like a high 30, 40-point plus defenseman. He's tall, like 6'4", has Stanley Cup experience. He's 30 years old. He rocks an A down in Nashville, so he's good leadership qualities. His contract is very doable. I think he makes like $4 million annual average value. I would definitely kick the tires on him. I wouldn't give up a lot, but knowing you need another move probably, especially to shore up your back line and you're missing Niskanen, this could be the piece that helps like a Provy. Like Provy's been good this year, but he had a lot of the weight's falling on his shoulders because that defense isn't good. Like Anaheim's not taking the next step. I would even potentially move one of them. Like I'm all about the youth, and I love Anaheim. He's my favorite young defenseman on the team, but I would move like a him, or I'd probably keep Myers because Myers looks better. And you know, you gotta push the right buttons. Your time now is to win. I know we got a youth movement coming in.
I just think Provy plays so many minutes in the game where you need to get somebody that pairs up with him 10
like
times.
Niskanen was perfect. That pairing was one of the best in the league, and I think Ekholm could be that. He's a good puck moving defenseman. He skates really well. Mm-hmm. So I mean, hopefully Fletcher seems like he at least. I don't want to say like he's like a Howie, but Howie will call. You always hear like the Eagles are involved in somebody. I feel like Fletcher does that. Like he kicks the tires. I feel like he pursues people a lot harder. Like he pursued Line A really hard. Didn't get him because they were asking for way too much. Yeah. So I mean, it makes sense. So I feel like that's where I'm at with the Flyers. They gotta win tonight though. You can't drop three. Drop three because you had the 2 games in hand and you were still sitting in a playoff spot. I think they still are.
I think they still have 2 games in hand. And they're still sitting at
the Islanders have turned it a little bit around. Mm-hmm. The Penguins are kind of. I don't even think the Penguins make it, but maybe we didn't mention it, I think, at all last week. Well, no, we didn't mention it at all last week. I think your one boy said he's not even a Philly fan, and he called you and he said you didn't even mention Hextall.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't. That's on us.
Yeah.
Usually we would, but, I mean, what's there to mention? He went to our rival. I guess we could have just mentioned it, but it is what it is.
He's had success as a GM, so.
Yeah, he's a good success. He's a good proven draft. This is different, though. He's taking on, the Pens are in a very weird situation.
They are.
Not a lot of picks, I'm sure. There's not a lot of youth out there.
No, not.
They're stagnant. Like, can you get the right pieces out there for them to push them back to winning or what? So I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully the boys win tonight.
Like I said, though, I think we're sitting in a better spot than 8-4-3, third place in the East, and
we're gonna be fine.
2 games in hand.
We're gonna make not even sweating playoffs. We're gonna make it. The boys, I'm hoping they buzz tonight. I'm hoping just them seeing Claude back in the locker room. They saw him morning skate. I'm sure that was you're missing your captain. That's huge. Yeah. So I mean,
these random dudes from the Phantoms playing on.
Yeah. So I mean, literally, Shushko and I say his name wrong. I call him Case because that's how it's pronounced. Yeah. It's how it's spelled, but it's like Case or something. Yeah. But guys like that. So I mean, Cap's back.
Hey, I think they'll bounce back, and we'll see how the season goes.
Alrighty.
The long season. So moving on from that, we'll do our weekly hot take. We got nothing crazy this week to do, like our favorite teams, favorite players. But before we get into our hot takes, I just want y'all to throw topics at us because I feel like to this point we're starting to get especially during the off season and some of these especially because football is the biggest thing to talk about. During the off season we're starting to get repetitive because there's nothing big happening with the Sixers, nothing big with the Flyers.
And I was about to say not against people when your baseball team is good, there's a lot to talk about. Yeah. So I actually do think they're going to be good this year, a lot better than what people are giving them. And we would talk about them today, but there's not a lot going on. The most to talk about is what Bryce wore his first day of spring training with the Clearwater shirt, the Fanatic bat, and
possibly the report that we're in on Jake Odorizzi. That would be huge.
Yeah, that would help the arms. It would be an improvement. This rotation would be nice because Eflin would be your 4.
Jack Fritz on Twitter, he posted today. He said that could move you from a fringe playoff team to a playoff team.
Yeah,
just by
everybody in our division got better. It's time for us to keep getting better, and I think. We had a top 4 offense in the league last year. That says enough. If Nola can find Cy Young for him again, he just needs to have a nice start to finish. So I mean, that's really where we're at with them. First game is Sunday.
First game is
so that's exciting.
Sunday, dude, against the Tigers.
Philly, who knows, because politicians in Philly they're ass backwards, and maybe finally letting the Phillies make the most sense because it's outdoor. So I'm even excited for that. I don't even care if I have to pay like $50 for a ticket.
Going opening day.
Yeah, I'll be there. And the Flyers and Sixers might get fans back. And people say, is it not like people we know, but they'll talk about the big. Is it really worth it? It is, because they're two of the best teams at home. I heard a Sixers stat today. From last year to this year, we're like 42-4 at home.
Yeah, no,
it's on. We're like 46-4 at home. So
we're
for every 10 games we're winning, we're losing one at home. Like, it's unreal. 9 to 10 games. So with that being said, we can go to our takes.
Yeah.
You want me to go to mine first?
Yeah, go ahead.
And then you can close it out. So I was at work. I'm not blasting anybody this week. I'm blasting a dude from work though. I'm not blasting like any big national media or anybody. Like I said, I'm not going to harp on Carson. I'm not going to mention him a lot through this pod. We might mention him during the season if he does good, and we'll be like, well, maybe we'll regret it. Maybe we won't regret it. Who knows?
Tell people to eat a dick.
Yeah, I mean, I still love him. He was my favorite player here. I'm going to support him, especially through this year, because he doesn't have to play great this year, but as long as he plays 70% of the snaps and they get the playoffs, or 75%, we get that first. And yeah, I don't trust Howie with it, but it's a first.
Yeah.
First holds value, whether it's we're going to use it to trade up or we stay stagnant with that first the year after. And the guy at work says, like, he's like mad, like he comes into work, he's like, Michael Pittman Jr. is my favorite player, and I'm like, why? Because because he's not giving Wentz 11. Like, I saw that report before Pittman even said anything. It said Wentz was probably going to take 1, 7, 10, or 17.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like, I'm sure he doesn't care. I'm sure he asked for 11. A lot of dudes do
that's
that.
Your number.
Yeah, and you're the QB. Like, a lot of dudes do that.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Pittman's ecstatic for him to be there anyway. It's not like there's any bad blood. So he's like, he's my favorite player. I'm like, that's so petty. I'm like, who cares? I'm like, just move on. Like I've said, like, I've been, like, I told Soph, like, every day, I'm like, I'm sad as shit. Like, I really am. Like, because he's supposed to be our guy, but this guy is, like, sitting there and he's like, fuck him. Like, I hope he tears his ACL. And I'm not going to lie. Like, I played Madden before. Like, buddy AJ will tell you, CJ will tell you. I might, like, say, like, I hope this dude stubs his toe in a Lego and he misses, like, weeks. Or I may have said ACL before. But I'm not that close. So it's like, when Dak got hurt, said my respects, I don't ever want to see a player legitimately get injured. Unless I absolutely hate them and think they're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So to wish that on a dude that has been here and... he helped bring us the Super Bowl, whether you like it or not. And if you don't like him wanting to be out and you don't like what's coming out now, I get it. I know not everybody's going to like it, but you got to root for him to get that. You don't have to literally put on your pom-poms and throw on a Wentz Colts jersey and say, let's go. But you need to root for his health this year and not be a piece of shit and say, hey, I hope he plays. I hope they go 6-6 and he tears his ACL. Like,
that's terrible.
Yeah, like...
that's not helping their team or our team at all.
I don't want to keep going, but you see the one dude who commented, I think he's like a random follower, and he said, like I said, how are you feeling? Like, upset, mad, or are you happy? Like, I had a happy in first, and he said, no, you're a weirdo if you're emotional over a player that's been here.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if he listens to our pod, and listen, bro, I'll invite you on. You can come sit down. I've never even met you. You can come sit in my house. And we can talk sports because he seems pretty knowledgeable for the most part. Mm-hmm. But this guy's supposed to be your franchise QB. He's done a lot of things in the community.
There's his stuff's staying in Philly too.
Yeah, I figured that. I figured that. He's grew a brand. You know what I mean? And you go to an Eagle Stadium, and I'm sure this dude has everybody in a lot of that stadium, they had 11 jerseys on. So, I mean, there's a lot of people who looked up to this dude as a role model, too. Not even like us. Like, Giovanni is a super fan. So, like, to say, like, I'm not saying, like, me, like, I'm sad. But I'm finally over. I'm, like, kind of over my grieving period already. I'll probably harp on it again in the regular season when he's balling. But I don't think you're a weirdo. I think that's pretty shallow of someone to say. So, I mean,
the double hot take.
Yeah. I'm not blasting or calling him an idiot. I just think it's shallow. And hey, everybody has their own opinions, but I think your opinion's dumb.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm on the same boat. I think I'm fucking sad as shit. I have 2 Wentz jerseys. And he's my favorite. He was my favorite player in the NFL. When we did our pod a few weeks ago, I had him as my current favorite Eagle, even though it was a week before he got drafted. I'm like, fuck that, I'm getting it in before. I'm on the same boat. You need him to succeed next week, obviously. But for my hot take, I'm also talking about him because Nick Wright on First Things First decided that he wanted to say, his quote for quote was, I don't know if 2017 Carson Wentz exists anymore. I don't know if he ever existed. And I'm just going to throw the stats out there for his 2017 year because you can't say 2017 year didn't exist. Carson Wentz lost the MVP trophy to Tom Brady, who that year, he put up 4,500 yards. But he did this in 16 games. Brady went 13-3, put up 4,500 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. Carson Wentz in 13 games put up 3,300 yards, which in retrospect, if he played 3 more, that would probably be about 4,100 yards. 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. So he already had more touchdowns, and he had one less interception. And the way he was playing, he wasn't going over 8 interceptions.
He probably would have easily hit 40 touchdowns too because Nick Foles threw 4 touchdowns, I think it was, or 3 on that Giants game that started out ugly, if you remember. And Carson probably would have torched that dookie-ass Giants team again. He would have torched the Raiders on Christmas. And then we would have had the bye and he would have sat the last week. But I think just between those 2 games, he probably could have thrown 7 touchdowns. Come on.
Yeah, my just biggest thing is you can't sit here and say that he doesn't exist anymore. Okay, go ahead. You can say he doesn't exist anymore because you think that he's fell off. But don't say he was never there because 2017, he was the MVP. Yeah. The only reason he didn't get MVP is because he only played 13 games. Yeah. Literally the only reason.
And I think Russ deserved it more than Brady at that point because he literally accounted for over 80% of his, it was like 80 or 90% of his team's touchdowns. And I think he had similar or better numbers of Brady, and it was just absurd. I get it. But whatever.
The dude's going to ball out this year. This was his first season of his career below 3,000 yards. First season, I think, since his rookie year, having more than 7 interceptions. So, like, I don't know. Once again, fuck you, Nick Wright. I love most of your takes, but this was just fucking trash.
I think he's trash.
That was a skip-type fucking take, and I'm not about it. But
I don't like a lot of his takes, to be honest.
Hey, he's not bad.
He's a big LeBron dick sucker, too.
Yeah, that's why him and Shannon get along so well. But other than that, I think that's all we got today. Once again, we're going to hit them shout out to Heart of Philly, Shane Gray, hit them up. But like we said, throw them topics at us. We don't want to be repetitive. We want to know what you guys want to hear. Make it fun, make it cool. We're trying to get this more in person now. Going to have some shit back here next week. So, I mean, all-star Ben Simmons. We out.